Because they were isolated from other communities, they didn't need a name for themselves. However, when the Europeans arrived, they called them Maori.
The Maori belief system is the Maori religion, which revolves around the two concepts of mana and tapu. Mana is authority, influence, prestige, or impersonal superpower that is either inherited or transmitted. Tapu is the principle of respect, which enables good and proper decisions to be made regarding the use of resources which can be claimed when born. However, the origins of their religion was slowly fading away when they began to embrace Christianity at the beginning of the 19th century. Large numbers of the Maori converts joined the Church of England and the Roman Catholic, which both influenced the Maori society.
The traditional Maori greeting is to press noses, which is known as hongi. The facial tattoo, tamoko, gives details of the wearers of the family's status, origin, and power. Tattooing was a sacred activity with many rituals. Most Maori men have full face tattoos, while women have lip and chin markings. Their tattoos are unique because they are two of the same one. Each Maori tattoo has different patterns or design.
The traditional Maori clothing was very colorful and full of different patterns. It consisted of two main garments, waist and shoulder. They also wore belts and sometimes sandals, or they would just walk barefoot. Just like the tattoos, the clothing they wore also showed their status. For example, only chiefs wore cloaks made of koori skin and hair. Their clothes were mostly made by things taken from nature, like grass, trees. The Maori also liked to decorate themselves with objects that also come from plants and animals.
The reveal movement of the traditional Maori music is very strong and alive. Pauri is mixed from welcome ceremony. Men shout aggressively, while women sing in a tuneful way. This traditional Maori music is performed in Christchurch. Along with Pauri, Haka was composed in the early 19th century as a traditional war dance to intimidate the opposing group. The Haka became famous by New Zealand's rugby team, who also perform it before matches.
Other than the art of music, the Maori culture has different forms of art. There is a basic art of buildings, carving, and weaving. While the carving shows a sign of prestige, weaving, which is done by women, displays clips of beauty. All the different shapes and patterns of their arts symbolize one thing or another. Many of the buildings and pieces of arts can be found today in museums because of their uniqueness. Maori language is considered a national treasure. Many places use that language. The number of very fluent adult speakers was about 9% of the Maori population. It's mostly spoken in New Zealand and it used to be one of the three official languages before it became endangered. Back when the culture wasn't endangered, the depicting a Maori was very simple, as it was mentioned earlier, that their tattoos symbolize many things about them. Also, their clothing is unique. Nowadays, a Maori wouldn't have the traditional tattoos or the traditional clothing, but they would keep a symbol like the necklace in this picture. In 1939, the Maori made up 1/20th of the population of New Zealand. However, recently the government has been paying attention to them and was helping them grow and expand by giving them land and money. They've also allowed some traditions that were categorized as unacceptable in a modern day culture. This caused Maori's relationship with modern day nations to be good. 15% of New Zealand's population is Maori. But it wasn't always well between the Maori and the Europeans. The Europeans couldn't let the Maoris settle in their country, so they tried to wipe them out. Over the years, the government was always in conflict with them, but it didn't last that way. Technology, dominant cultures, and modern era is the main reason Maori is having issues keeping its traditions. Throughout the years, their culture changed. Men wear modern clothes, mostly suits. The Moko isn't on women and men's faces. Children were also affected because they grew up not being able to enjoy their culture and had to change things to support one of the dominant cultures. To prevent this endangered culture from collapsing, the modern era needs to collaborate and stop the disappearance of some of their traditions.